December 18th, 2017, my husband John gave me a kiss goodbye, said I love you, and went to work like any other normal day. And I went to work, and about 40 minutes later, I got a call to come down to the office and that John had collapsed at work. We drove to his business, and when we came into town, I could see ambulances and fire trucks, and I knew it was bad. They told me that the helicopter was coming, that Mayo was coming to pick him up, and that they at that point didn't know what happened. They did tests right away and just told me right away that something happened with his heart, and they were checking activity on his brain and that he had coded several times. And we finally got to go see him in his room, and he looked like him. He was covered up, he was laying in a bed, it looked like him. He had tubes and things that he was attached to, but it was him. And I could touch him, and I could talk to him, and I could kiss him, and I could sing to him. And you already kind of start to become familiar with the nurses. They're talking to you. And I'm sitting in the waiting room, and the intercom thing goes off, and they say, everyone to this room. And in my head, I'm thinking that's not his room. I know where his room is at. He wouldn't be that number. And a nurse comes in, runs in, and looks at me, and she just said, it's him. Come with me.
The still and humid day of August 21st, 1883, resulted in a tornado that would impact Rochester and the community forever. The tornado devastated the town, flattening buildings, scattering debris, killing dozens and injuring hundreds. The Mayo family survived the storm by taking cover in a blacksmith shop. Little did the community know that this tornado would result in the beginning of a healthcare organization that would become #1 in the world over the course of 150 years. Dr. William Worrell Mayo was in Rochester with the Union Army. His small, private business was known as the Clinic in the Cornfield. Sister Mary Alfred Mose, an immigrant, oversaw a convent school in Rochester. After treating the injured in a temporary hospital, Sister Mary Alfred Mose and Dr. William Worrell Mayo decided that they needed a new hospital in Rochester to treat patients. This was a time when men and women didn't work together, but they came to an agreement with a simple handshake. No formal legal document was needed. That 27-bed hospital is now a 1,200-bed hospital called Mayo Clinic. Mayo Clinic campus today is spread across 73 local communities, along with 3 large hospitals and clinics in Arizona, Florida, and Minnesota. The sons of William Worrell Mayo, Will and Charlie, started practicing medicine with their father as young boys. They helped with delivering pills to patients and with basic patient care. Dr. Will started surgery at the age of 14 and later earned his medical degree at the University of Michigan, while Charlie studied at Northwestern University. Will referred to himself as the belly doctor and Charlie as the head doctor, but both performed surgery together along with many other expert physicians that they met and hired from around the world. They were eager to learn from others, and when they heard about a new procedure, they would travel around the world to watch and learn from others and then bring that new practice back to their own clinic in Rochester. Today, this tradition is still in place as Mayo doctors travel around the world to learn from others and to teach others about the Mayo Clinic. Behind every physician at Mayo Clinic, there are 2,400 others that can help solve a complex problem a patient may have, Every 24 hours, 14,000 patients are seen, 9,000 exams are conducted, and 300 surgeries are performed. Mayo has seen patients from every state in over 150 countries. The care team at Mayo doesn't just treat the disease of the patient, they treat all of the patient. This includes ensuring everyone involved, including the family, fully understands the care plan.
The amount of people that were working on him was incredible. That room was filled with so many staff, doctors, nurses, just so many people were there trying to help him and bring him back. The thing that I am so thankful for in that this whole experience with the employees was that they felt what we were feeling. It was almost like they knew John and that they were mourning with us and they were struggling with us. They all almost became our family. They were invested in him. The ICU head doctor, that whole week, she came in on days that she had off because she just wanted to be with us. She held my hand, she cried with me, she cried with my stepkids. She was a strength for us because she would talk about how we just have to accept whatever it is and just have faith. One of the nurses thought I was sleeping. It was nighttime and I stayed in his room. And at this point we knew he didn't have any brain function and there wasn't brain activity. And the nurses knew that. But that night, that nurse, he talked to John like he was his friend. He was telling him like, hey buddy, but your back's getting sore. Let me just move you a little bit. How you doing, bud? Are you cold? Let me put another blanket on you. And he just treated him like my husband and not like somebody that didn't know what was going on. One of the nurses gave me an envelope and just said, open this at Christmas. And it was a poem about Christmas in heaven. And I opened it on Christmas Day. Like things like that they didn't have to do. One of John's main nurses I did talk to a month or so afterwards, and she said that they all still were talking about him and talking about us, and that they just felt like they knew him and that they knew our family and just how much he and that whole experience changed them. Just to go home and to like love your family more, to just appreciate the life that you have.
Mayo Clinic is ranked #1 in the nation by U.S. News and World Report for the 3rd year in a row. This validates their commitment to put the needs of the patient before anything else. For over 150 years, Mayo has created an environment of healing. Mayo puts great effort into not only identifying and treating complex cases, but they also have created an environment for patients and their family members to feel comfortable while going through treatment and sometimes very difficult times. This includes a display of beautiful art, architecture, and landscaping. The patient is the center point, surrounded by a team of individuals. Whether it be a physician, nurse, pharmacist, or nurse educator, they all coordinate as one single unit to ensure that all needs of the patient are met and communicated.
My experiences with Mayo all started when I was 15. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. It started back in my hometown of Blooming, where my nurse practitioner advised me to come to Rochester. We came to the ER. They were accepting of me right away. They knew my situation. They brought me into a room with my family, my parents, and they had a doctor there ready, and they diagnosed me right then and there and explained that from that point on my life was going to change forever, but that they would help me manage and keep a very normal life. It was very important that I understood what I was doing and that my family understood what I was doing. And my 2 nurse educators would come in every single day and spend hours with me, just like I was at school, just to make sure that they met my learning needs. And they were very, very patient. There was plenty of times where I thought I was grasping it, and then they would ask me, okay, what would you do in this situation? And I'd get it wrong, and we would start over, and they truly were patient and waited until I was fully aware of my disease and felt that I was safe to be discharged. One of the nurses who had a diabetic son, she used her experiences to help empathize with me and help me to realize that I can still continue on and have a normal life. And she made me feel calm and comfortable. I didn't feel like I had a disease of any sort. It felt like a very normal week. Instead of being home, I was just in a hospital room. A lot of that experience drove me to want to become a nurse because I felt so comfortable in that time there that I wanted to, in turn, use my experiences to help people feel comfortable when they came through the hospital system.
Mayo Clinic is not your typical medical center. NBC journalist Tom Brokaw and the Dalai Lama have become strong supporters of the Mayo Clinic. Politicians, movie stars, professional athletes, and royalty have walked the halls of Mayo Clinic for different treatments. A few publicly known patients include Johnny Cash, Muhammad Ali, former President Ronald Reagan, and former President John F. Kennedy. When President Kennedy was killed, Mayo honored him by closing the great bronze doors of the Plummer Building, one of Mayo's many downtown buildings. The doors are 16 feet tall, 6 inches thick, and weigh 4,000 pounds each. These doors are only closed for grave events such as JFK's death, the death of the Mayo brothers, and the 9/11 terrorist attacks in 2001. Mayo Clinic has a long history of innovation, leading to many breakthrough discoveries. In the early years, the Mayo brothers and Mayo scientists helped to create the G-suit and in-flight oxygen mask during World War II. They secretly helped establish the first procedures for surviving parachute jumps from over 40,000 feet. They received an International Nobel Prize for inventing cortisone, a pain medication that is widely used. Mayo staff was involved in the first ever hip replacement, and they had the first success at doing an open heart surgery using a heart-lung bypass machine on a young local patient. In 2006, Mayo specialists had a challenging case of separating conjoined twins that were linked at the chest. Using an exact 3D model of the twins, the surgeons were able to successfully study and plan the procedure. The twins are now 13 years old and healthy. Mayo also made national news after they successfully completed the first ever face transplant on a Wyoming man after he received a gunshot wound to the face. A large team of experts were able to complete this complicated procedure in 50 hours. Throughout these great successes, Mayo Clinic has received many awards over the years, honoring their hard work and discoveries as a healthcare system.
For me, one of the things that absolutely got me through was donating his organs, because he passed away December 23rd, and just knowing that on Christmas Day that people were given life because of his death. People got his lungs, his kidneys, his pancreas, tissues, retinas, bones, whatever I could donate to help others, I did. And so to just know that others are living on because of him, and that families for Christmas were given that gift of life, even in our loss, that he was helping others through death. And just being so thankful for that experience that we had that week with him, that, like I said, I got to touch him still, I got to kiss him, I got to sing to him, people got to come and say goodbye to him. And just having that time and that experience with the Mayo staff, with the employees, just their care, was something I will be grateful for the rest of my life, that I got to have a positive experience in a negative situation.